Meteorologist joins us now to tell us exactly what is going on with the hurricane season. Of course, this is Dr. Mel. Great to have you with us now.
And so on. You know, hurricanes are the greatest storms on Earth.
I know you love hurricane season.
Biggest storms. My first recollection of a hurricane was Hurricane Carol, and that was back in 1954. And I remember looking outside the window of my living room, and the roof was flying off. And then the next year, 55, we had Connie and Diane, the combination that caused some of the greatest floods that we ever had in Connecticut. And, you know, we went like 30 years without anything really major happening until 1985.
Hurricane Gloria.
You better believe it. Hurricane Gloria came up, and it was a good-sized storm, and it had a lot of potential, and it moved right up the East Coast, and it could have caused horrendous damage, but fortunately, just as it reached Long Island Sound, it reached cooler water and began to diminish. But this is a diminished hurricane. Look at these pictures, and you can see the waves, and the winds were so strong that it caused the single greatest power outage in the history of Connecticut.
I'm sure it was horrifying.
Hundreds of thousands of people were without power for days.
I was going to say, I'm sure it was horrifying for everybody who experienced it. Now, okay, but this season, hurricane season hasn't been that active.
We can't be lulled into it,
I know.
I mean, you know, between, the 50s, when we had big hurricanes, and Gloria, that was 30 years. Now we've gone, what, another 25 years or so?
Now, why aren't we experiencing much?
We haven't been experiencing that much because we've had cooler water, in the past out in the Atlantic. We've had the El Nino out in the Pacific, which has been causing a jet stream to shear off these hurricanes. But that is gone. That is gone. And now we have just the opposite phase that's taking place. And a lot of people are worried. And, the farther you are from the last storm, the closer you are to the next one.
We are seeing some activity right now in the Caribbean.
Absolutely. I mean, we've got a whole lineup of systems. There's Danielle, and just east of Danielle, we have another storm system, and then in the Gulf of Mexico, we have another storm system. I mean, they're all over the place. This is the heart of hurricane season. If it's going to happen, it will happen, and it will happen now.
And you're going to be watching it for us. I know you will be. All right, Mel, we've got to get this show moving. Can you help me out here?
Absolutely.
You know what to say?
That's right. Sit back, relax, and enjoy our Lunch with Style.
As Dr. Mel mentioned at the top of the show, although in Connecticut we haven't had bigger and more active hurricanes, we are not necessarily in the clear. Hurricane season lasts from June to November, with the peak season right around now through late October. Joining me now is Leonard Gersha from the Department of Public Health, who says that if you live in New England, it's not if, but when a storm or hurricane strikes, and you need to be ready. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here, Leonard. So why does the Department of Public Health take such an active role in this?
Every weather emergency or other natural disaster creates sick and injured patients that affect the healthcare system, hospitals, physicians, local public health. So the Department of Public Health, especially after September the 11th, took a more active role in being part of preparedness planning, getting public messaging out, including for hurricanes.
Now, all the tips we're talking about today really can apply to any of the storms that we get here in Connecticut.
Absolutely. Ice storms, anything that would affect or disrupt normal life. We all get used to having power, and when the power goes out, it's not only an inconvenience, but if you had a medical ailment and we're on a ventilator, let's say, and we're dependent upon that power, that can be life-threatening.
We've certainly had our share of major storms this summer already. Let's take a look at what you brought here. How do you prepare for a major storm?
We talk in partnership with our colleagues at the Department of Emergency Management and Homeland Security and FEMA at the national level about making a plan, staying informed, and creating a disaster kit. And thanks to our colleagues at the American Red Cross, they've brought one of their pre-made disaster kits, and it has some simple things that you will need to be self-sufficient for up to 72 hours. Things like fresh water, batteries for a flashlight, a small transistor radio so that you can be informed with public messaging through the media, television, newspapers, online. Bring a supply of your medications if you might need them if your house were flooded or destroyed. Make sure that you have enough food. And then an important thing that I like to remind people about is take a small index card, because everyone has a cell phone and we have all of our important numbers on our cell phone. They require batteries to be charged. After 24 or 48 hours, if the battery goes dead, you don't know Sally Sue's number, you don't know Grandma's phone number in Massachusetts. So we recommend writing the important numbers on a 3x5 card, tucking it away in your wallet, in your purse, in your car, so that when there's no power, you still have those phone numbers down and remembered. And in addition, on the back of that card, we recommend that you keep current a list of your medications, if you're on any medications, so that if you do have to evacuate to another part of Connecticut or to another part of New England, you'll have that list available to you to go to a pharmacy and collect those.
And you really should discuss a plan with your family and come up with a plan.
Absolutely, absolutely. In the cell phone age, you should have a plan that says if this happens and we're totally cut off, we're all going to meet at Grandma's house in Northampton, Massachusetts, let's say, and everyone in the family would know, similar to what you planned for your home in a fire. We're all going to meet out in the front yard by the apple tree so that everyone is accounted for. During a hurricane, things get displaced, roads get closed, and people get disoriented. So if we all know where we're going, that's where we're going to head.
All right, let's talk about what happens during a hurricane or a major storm. What should people be doing?
Well, obviously they should be following the advice of government officials and safety responders in their community, fire service, public health, following those messages very clearly, making sure that they have access to potable water. During the storm, stay out of the storm surge, as Dr. Mel talks about from his weather desk. Stay away from down power wires. Keep yourself sheltered and protected until after the storm passes.
You actually talk about perhaps looking into providing a safe room.
Yep. Look inside your room for a room in an interior room or in a basement that's away from windows, so that if there was flying debris, you wouldn't be subject to injuries from glass. It's all about self-preservation and resiliency. How do you keep yourself safe, first of all, your family, and then those in your community?
What happens after a hurricane or a major storm? What should people be doing?
Well, the first thing that they should do is take stock of where their family and their pets are, and then they should begin to the process of trying to clean up their yards, if you will. But again, I caution people, be cautious of power lines. Just because they're on the ground does not mean that they are de-energized. Also, make sure that the water that you drink is clean water. There'll be lots of pools of standing water in the case of a hurricane. You want to make sure that the water you're drinking is okay, and that you have some good food to eat. And then really, again, follow the direction of government officials.
Now, what tips do you have for people to dealing with their insurance companies?
Well, I would say that in anticipation of a storm, you can go to your insurance company's website, or you can always go to 211 or ct.gov/hurricane. There's additional information there and links to the Connecticut Department of Insurance, so that you know what your coverages are well before a storm.
All the Department of Public Health tips, what to do before, during, and after a hurricane are all right there on their website. As you see, all the information is right there on the screen. Or just come to our website and we'll have the information for you. Leonard Gersha, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.